All right, so I'll go ahead and call the the meeting to order. Why don't we begin with a roll call?
All right, perfect. As a brief introduction, this is Angela Schofield, the conservation agent for the city of Leominster. It is currently 6:07 on October 26, 2021. It's our public meeting. Let me scroll down. Pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, this meeting will be conducted via remote means. Everything in the meeting will also be recorded. Everything said in the chat, as well as discussed during the meeting, will become part of the public record. I will now ask all the commissioners to turn on their cameras so we can do a roll call. Chairman Chuck Raymond.
Here.
Thank you. Vice Chairwoman Elizabeth Ricci Blair.
Liz?
Liz.
Is she asleep?
Headphones are on.
Oh, Liz.
Maybe she was having trouble with getting volume like I was.
Maybe, let me see. Elizabeth?
I think she's asleep.
Yeah, someone call her phone.
Yes.
I would if I had her number.
Let me see. Maybe she's frozen.
That could be too. Oh, here, I've got her number.
Oh, her screen was frozen.
Oh, all right.
All right, we'll come back to her.
All right.
There you go. Jeffrey Goyne.
Here.
Thank you. Michael Seeke.
Here.
Thank you. And Richard Gullick.
Here.
Thank you. Absent from the meeting are our new member, Kenneth Ridlin, and Amanda Lansing, who is on maternity leave. Just give me a second here to see if I can get a hold of Liz.
Okay.
Going on.
Wind and weather, there's bound to be internet problems from these types of things.
We got our hand slapped for that a few months ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I won't go into details, but yeah, hopefully we won't.
All right, this is Angela here. Her computer had died, so she's just logging on right now.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that. It just decided to die, so.
You're okay. To complete our roll call, Vice Chairwoman Elizabeth Ricci Blair.
I'm here.
Perfect.
So that concludes the roll call.
All right, thank you, Angela. Appreciate that. All right, moving on to conservation land management. Angela, anything to report on for that?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you. Looks like we have no new hearings. And moving on to continued hearings, I'll read it, the first one into the record. Pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, the Leominster Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on a notice of intent regarding the construction of a new duplex dwelling with associated driveway, grading, and utility connections. Address 1284 Central Street, and map and parcel 566-1-1, DEP file number 199-1140. Is there anybody on the call here to represent that project?
Hi, this is Angela here, Angela Schofield. Nope, they did send me an email today. Due to the state needing more information to close out the superseding orders of conditions, they have requested a continuance.
Alrighty. we don't happen to know when that is yet, do we?
Our next meeting is, I want to say, my computer's not letting me scroll. I apologize.
November 9th, I think it would be.
It's either the 9th or the 8th. Yep, it's the 9th.
Okay. All righty. Perfect. Thank you. All righty. And as far as I know, the next couple are continued as well. Angela, should I go ahead and read those into the record anyway?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, the Leominster Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on a notice of intent regarding the construction of a new single-family dwelling with associated driveway, grading, and utility connections. Address Leggett Hill Road, Lot 4, map and parcel 566-1-4, DEP file number 199-1135. So that will be continued as well. The next one that will be continued, pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, the Leominster Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on a notice of intent regarding the construction of a barn and farm stand and applicable access areas and gravel driveway to farmland. Address 980 Central Street, map and parcel 317-11, and no DEP file number. So that one's been continued as well. The next one, excuse me, pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, the Leominster Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on a notice of intent regarding the removal of a fixed dock and replacement with a floating dock. Address 27 Elm Street, map and parcel 121-5, and still waiting on the DEP file number. It's a lot of continuances. All right, new business. Land being removed from Chapter 61, 253 Leggett Hill Road. Angela, what do you have for us on that one?
Angela here. So this is my first time dealing with this, but basically there was land that was in chapter, which is it's an assessing department term for taxes. And when they take it out of chapter, it goes to the city basically to decide if it's something that the city would be interested in purchasing or accepting. So this land, it's 7.5 acres over on Leggett Hill, closer to the Sterling side. It's a sloping hill. There are some wetlands on the property, and it looks like there is someone who's interested in developing it at this time. In my initial review of the parcel, I don't know if it would really necessarily be prudent for conservation purposes for us to accept this land or to be interested in this land, but maybe more for open space purposes. I know there are other departments who are reviewing this, such as the planning board, the assessing department, the mayor, obviously, and DCR. It's basically an open field. There are some wetlands towards the Sterling side, but other than that, there's no vernal pools there. Doesn't seem to be wildlife habitat. It's kind of a grass hill, which it might be more useful for the recreation department than for us to take it and put it into conservation restriction. But I believe I sent everyone out the information. If anyone has any questions, let me know.
Thank you, Angela. Appreciate that. I've just got a couple. First of all, is this the same property as the item B under continuing hearings that was continued again? Is that the same property? The Leggett Hill property?
No, I apologize. I couldn't unmute there. It is not. It's on the same road. This is up that hill farther towards the Sterling side.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So let me get this straight. So by taking it out of Chapter 61, they are explain it to me again. I'm still a little unclear.
So basically, when someone puts their land in chapter, this is Angela here, they don't pay taxes on it. It's available and open to the public for use for hiking. It's still owned by the person who owns it, but they don't build on it. They don't develop it. It basically just kind of stays as open space land, forested land. And so when they take it out of chapter, I believe, so from my understanding, bear with me, this isn't something I'm super familiar with, they have to pay back the taxes in order to take it out of chapter.
Oh, interesting.
if they're going to develop it, or if it goes to DCR or a land trust in care of for the city. So I'm just opening, I have a little handy dandy book here that the assessing department recommended me to read. And so basically we can choose to allow some development there to cover the expenses while also conserving important natural resources, or we can choose to ask the city to purchase it in whole and have it put into conservation restrictions. Looking at the property, I don't know if it'd be really beneficial for the Conservation Commission to take ownership of it. There's not really a large amount of wetlands there. It's not really typical land that we would, oversee or take on. But it might be better for the Recreation Department in regards to our open space, because they are looking for land to put more soccer fields on, more parks on. In this section of Leominster, there really aren't any parks or open public areas for play or sports. It basically runs parallel right along Central Street. Let me see if I can get our GIS imagery up here.
Angela, the city, this is Mike Siki, the city has the right of first refusal on that property, correct?
Correct. Yes, that is the term for it. Thank you. And we have 120 days to respond, and this was sent out on October 4th, but I didn't receive it until last week.
And this is Chuck Raymond, the chair. What do we need to do tonight? Anything? This is just up for discussion? What needs to happen tonight? Anything?
So yes, it's up for discussion because of the time frame, and we do meet pretty regularly. So we're going to meet again on the 9th. We would have to kind of decide, the commission would have to decide and vote if they would like to send a recommendation to the planning board or to the mayor's office to recommend this land for open space purposes and active recreation, such as a playground, soccer fields, or if they want to recommend it for conservation purposes, or if they're, we're just not interested and we are, we'd like to just let another department kind of handle it.
So if the city isn't interested in whatever, in any departments, it would open it up for private development. Is that
Yeah, private sale, basically. They could sell it, and I believe they have someone who's interested as well, but we have the first choice, basically.
right of first refusal? Okay, all right, that's interesting. Anybody else have any questions or comments on this topic on the commission?
None here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I probably tend to agree with you, Angela. That doesn't look like it's pretty. It's really doesn't. There are no overarching qualities of this piece of property that would make it suitable for conservation easement or whatever the correct term is. No vernal pools, no wetlands. Nothing really that would make it attractive for the Conservation Commission department, Conservation Commission to oversee. So I'm perfectly happy allowing other city departments to weigh in on it themselves. Anybody else disagree?
This is Mike Siki.
I agree.
Agreement here.
Okay.
This is Rich. I agree. Yeah, let them do what they want.
Yeah, this is Jeffrey Goyne. I agree too.
Okay.
Angela, so is that, I looked at that when you sent out the document today. The little L-shaped parcel in the front, that's an existing house lot, and the red line to the left is the 7.25 acres, huh?
Correct. So it looks like there's two lots
Yep.
here. It's 279 Leggett Hill and 273 Leggett Hill. So it's kind of like a little Tetris piece there. And they're owned by the same person. It looks like. I'm trying to.
Looks like they've been
My
hanging.
internet does not want to cooperate today.
Michael, just
Yeah, so
this is Chuck Raymond. Michael, just as a point of order, just make sure you introduce yourself when you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay. I do it all the time. Don't worry about it. Thank you. Appreciate it. Angela, actually, this is Chuck Raymond. When I was looking at one of the emails you sent around, I think is this the correct property? Yes. So I was looking at the map that was associated with the document you sent around, and it's only black and white, so I can't quite tell what's going on. So out behind that, between that property and Central Street, Then on the other side of Leggett Hill Road, there were some like crosshatched areas. What are those? Do you know? Are those wetlands? Is it a river? You know what those are?
Let me unmute myself there. So you're saying across the road?
Yeah. So it's a zoomed in map that was in the package you sent us on email.
Yeah. So, oh, sorry, my phone's vibrating.
Yeah, there's
So when
that green area there. Here we go. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, so this is what I'm looking at. This is Angela here. What we're looking at is our tie and bond, the City of Leominster GIS system,
Mhm.
and this is a data layer that tie and bond has put on there for quote unquote wetlands. This parcel is not the parcel in question.
No, I know. I didn't know what those crosshatched areas were. And then there's that orange one across the road.
Yeah,
You
so
zoom
the
in a little bit.
orange one, I'm trying to scroll down through my legend here. I believe additional data. Come on. My legend is not loading, but I want to say the orange and black striped one
Yeah.
is possible wildlife habitat. The green one is a wetland, it's a possible wetland. They're never completely accurate.
Okay.
A lot
All
of
right.
times, they put a wetland one time right on top of where someone's house was, and I was like, that's not true.
All righty. Okay. That's kind of what I thought. I was just curious. Like I said, I was only looking at a black and white copy. So,
Yeah,
um,
it's kind of hard to see it.
okay. With that, anybody else have any final comments or questions? All righty. Sheila, Angela, is there anything there's something we need to open up to the public at all?
No, this does not need to open up to the public, but if the commission would like, I would like my recommendation or like to take a vote to send a recommendation to the planning department and the mayor's office for other city departments to take a look at this land. I would be happy to do that.
Yes, please.
Angela here. So my recommendation would be for the commission after the discussion to send a letter to the mayor's office as well as the planning board to have this land looked at for possible recreation purposes or other city departments' interests.
So we need to make a motion for that.
Yes, please.
Okay. Do we have a? Can somebody make that motion?
This is Jeffrey Goin. I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Jeff. Do we have a second? Thank you, Liz.
This is Angela Schofield here, so the rest of the vote will be done by roll call. Richard Gulick, how do you vote?
Yes. Aye.
Michael Siki, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Thank you. And Chairman Chuck Raymond, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Thank you. So I'll write that letter up and I will CC everyone a copy once it's sent out.
Wonderful. Thank you, Angela. All right. Moving down the agenda, we have no old business. And under certificate of compliance, standard order of conditions for Leggett Hill sent to the state waiting for issuance. What do you have about that, Angela?
So let me pause right here really quick. I received an email from Judy over at DEP. And so basically she is requiring them to include an after the fact permission for the tree removal and to commit to removing the beam near the wetland border as part of the current NOI. And she would like some clarification as to who is responsible to maintain the 20-foot subsurface culvert and before they're able to issue the certificates of compliance for the older DEP file numbers.
And this is thank you, Angela. This is Chuck Raymond again. And again, just to keep myself from getting confused, is this the same property as item B under continued hearings, or is that even a third Leggett Hill property?
Yes, so it's the three. There was 3 older permits that were appealed, and they went to the state level, and they were issued superseding orders of conditions.
Mhm.
And so, before we can issue any more orders of conditions, the applicant has to go through the state to get superseding certificates of compliance to close those out, so there's not a title issue. So there was 3 of them, and now so they have to close all 3 of those out before we can get the 2 that are before us issued.
Okay, but again, but that it's the same property as item B.
Yes, it's the same properties.
It is, okay, just want to make sure.
Item A and B.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for correcting me. SOCs is superseding order conditions. I said standard. I apologize.
No, it's fine.
So
Very confusing.
what do we need to do with this, Angela?
Nothing. It's just on the
Okay.
agenda
Okay,
for us to know about.
just an FYI thing. Okay, thank you. Anybody on the commission have any questions about that at all? Okay. Moving on to item number 8, extension permits. 96 Exchange Street, Heron's Landing 2, DP file number 199-1061. New expiration date July 3rd, 2022. What do you have for that, Angela?
So I spoke with Mr. Morrow, who's the wetland scientist, as well as Kent Oldfield, who's the representative for this project. I'm still waiting. In the past, the commission had asked them to submit a report stating any differences in the wetland, just a quick wetland report to confirm that the delineation was the same as it was when they originally filed the filing. I spoke to Matt Morrow briefly. Every time I try to go out there, it's pouring rain and I can't really get a good soil sample. But in my discussion with Mr. Morrow, he said he believes the tip of the wetland may have come out a little further, but I'm still waiting for a report and a plan to compare that to before I recommend to either issue an extension permit or not issue an extension permit. So this will have to be continued to the next meeting.
Okay, so again, that was just another FYI type of item.
Yes.
Okay, alrighty. Anybody in the commission have any questions about that one? Alrighty, moving on. Item number 9 under communications. Concern about the driveway at Elm Street, the Mary Foley lot, and stormwater sheet flowing off the driveway into the wetland. What do you have for, with that, Angela?
Angela here. So Mr. Siki had contacted me after he took a training, which thank you very much for taking the trainings and going to the events, with a concern about the conversation we had with Mr. Anderson from Hannigan Engineering about putting a pipe in underneath the driveway to keep the connectivity of the water coming off the hill. So I did a little research into it because it was, correct me if I'm wrong, but at the training, it was kind of said, no, that's not common practice, as Mr. Anderson had stated during the meeting, and they really should have proposed a pipe under the driveway. So I did a little research to see what we can do, because technically once the order of conditions is issued, it's issued until an enforcement issue comes up. I do know there is a condition in there that we can revoke it. It is kind of difficult. We can end up in court very easily if we do revoke permits, and it's not really an ideal situation. So I did some research. I spoke to a couple other agents to kind of see what they would recommend and how they felt in their experience with this type of project. And I also had a conversation with Mr. Anderson about the water sheet flowing off the driveway and if it would cause issues or if there'd be pooling on either side and cause flooding. And in our discussion, he did agree that, you know, this is something that basically since the driveway will be built before the house is put in, it's not going to be paved obviously until the house is done, because they don't want to have construction equipment driving over a freshly paved driveway. That once the driveway is built, they have to wait a year or a growing season for the wetland to take place anyways. We can observe the rain patterns, and I can go out there when it's raining and observe if pooling's happening and if there's any issues with water going too fast, knocking erosion or sediment into the wetland restoration and replication area. And if that happens, then the commission can issue an enforcement order and require them to put a pipe in, as well as a berm in, or a better, what's the word I'm looking for, like a swale to kind of have the water flow in a better manner towards the wetland that would not cause any erosion, velocity, or contamination.
All right. Thank you, Angela. Yeah, so this is an issue that came up on our last meeting, as I recall. In fact, I think I asked about that as well. He literally said they're going to direct the sheet flow over the driveway. I thought that seemed kind of odd, an odd way to handle sheet flow, just directing it over a driveway. So, all right. So those probably sound like the best options we have. I appreciate you addressing that, Angela. Does anybody in the commission have any comments or issues associated with that?
This is Rich Gullick, Chuck. I'm just wondering, I would think there'd be some vegetative solutions if there was considered some issue. once the driveway was installed and we observed, that water flow. I would hesitate to, given what's been said already, I'd be hesitant to come back later and ask them to rip, dig under the driveway to put in a pipe. If that's what we want to do, we should. Well, I don't think we can do it now, right? Exactly, and is it really needed? I guess that's my main question. The pipe. Thank you.
Andrew, do you have a comment on that?
So I do agree with you. I think it'd be kind of silly for us to pave a driveway, install a driveway, and then go in and put a pipe in after the fact. But since they're not going to be paving it and they're going to be, driving heavy equipment over it, delivery trucks, they put a septic in, there's going to be construction vehicles going over it. And there will obviously be some damage to the driveway as that process is happening, just inevitably in the world that we live in. And so if we do notice that there are issues, it'll be fairly simple for them to put in a 6-inch PVC or corrugated, whatever size the engineer and myself can look at. And typically, I know I don't really like the term enforcement order, but that's just the name of the paper that we get where we can tell people, hey, this is what you should do to fix this. This enforcement order will cover you. Fix it, please. And then they don't have to come back to the commission for an amended filing. They don't have to pay, $10,000 for a new engineer plan. They can just go under the enforcement order and install the pipe if it's necessary. Or like you said, Rich, do a vegetated swale or add a berm, whatever they need to do to alleviate the pooling and reconnect the wetland if that is an issue. I think, unfortunately, waiting and seeing what the site conditions are, because ideally engineers could engineer the world and everything would be perfect, but every site's different. It has different variables that are always going to impact it. There might be a lawn or rocks or ledge, or, we might, unfortunately, this week, we're going to get 3 to 7 inches of rain all at once.
Yeah.
And so we kind of have to take the site conditions into consideration, and they'll put the driveway in, but they're not going to pave it and bind it until after the house is built anyways. So when I spoke to Mr. Anderson, he felt completely comfortable with this, and he said his client would have no issue with this either, because obviously they don't want to sell a house that's going to have pooling water on either side or sheet flow that's going to cause them issues in the future and possibly bring them into court.
All right, thank you, Angela. There's nothing we have to do with this tonight?
No, I just wanted to make sure, Angela here, did that address your concern, Mike?
It was Rich.
This is Mike Siki. Yeah, it did.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. It's Mike Siki again. I used, and during one of the classes on erosion control, I used it. I didn't obviously name the lot, but I did use it as kind of a case study to utilize the brain trust that was at this meeting to see if, I, like you, Chuck, thought it was an odd solution to allow water to flow over a driveway, and with the driveway, and this is not under our jurisdiction, but with the driveway banked towards Elm Street, having water in the wintertime melting and flowing out onto Elm Street when we've got school buses and all sorts of traffic there, could present other problems, not conservation problems, but it just didn't seem like a logical solution to me when, a PVC pipe is relatively inexpensive. So I brought it to the brain trust, and everybody kind of, agreed with me. So I figured it was worth having another conversation on.
Okay.
But I mean,
that,
it makes sense. Again, it's Mike Siki again, I'm sorry. It does make sense not to Rich's point, not to cause them any further problems at this point if it becomes a non-issue.
All right, thank you. Chuck Raymond again. I think I lost my train of thought on this.
That's what I do. This is Mike Siki. That's what I do.
So yeah, I like the idea of either vegetated swale or even a vegetated berm. Just put a amount of soil there and put plants on it. But anyway, that's beyond our jurisdiction. So Angela, you said you're going to you'll make frequent visits during the construction process.
Yeah, which I was, I'm scheduled to do frequent visits. I cannot talk today, anyways, due to the wetland replication and restoration area. So it really won't be too much on too much off my back to go there and check it out. And if there's any issues, I'll have the wetland scientist who's monitoring the area, as well as the engineer, to kind of help mediate the issue. And if the swale's what it needs, the engineer will be able to kind of say, yeah, it needs a swale. If it needs more, he'll say, no, we really should have put a PVC pipe in.
Yep.
And we'll do that as well. So.
Okay. All right. So you're in ongoing conversations, and you will continue to be. So that's good. All right. If we're all set with that, we'll go ahead and move on down the agenda. Item number 10, meeting minutes. Angela, I know you had sent some. I think it was last week sometime. As I recall, the date was well before I joined the commission. I'm not sure if Liz might have been on, but I think that was probably it. Is it?
Yes. So I did send them out, but I, unfortunately, in my brain fog, forgot to put them on the agenda, so we can't vote on them anyways.
Oh, okay. All right.
I talked to the city clerk about it because I know a lot of the meeting minutes are older, unfortunately, and I think, sometimes Liz is the only member who is there. And basically, it really is just, what's the word, good housekeeping for us to kind of read over them, grammatically proof them, and then vote to accept them into record. It's just good housekeeping more so than necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're public record automatically anyways. Right. Even though they're not, I have to go through and edit them and make sure that we don't have any weird comments that got swooped in there. So I'll put it on for the next meeting. I apologize. My brain just completely didn't put it on.
That's all right. You need admin help anyway. But no, we appreciate you continuing to do this. If we can knock off 1 or 2 each meeting, that'd be great. All right, moving on to enforcement. Item A, 519 Pleasant Street. Update the meeting with new owner. Letter sent via certified mail. What do you have for that, Angela? Aside from what I just said.
So I wrote up a letter, kind of just summarizing the history. I sent past orders and past determinations, as well as photos of the area and email communications to the new homeowner, just so that they have it. Requesting them to contact me to set up a meeting. I have not gotten the certified green card back yet, but I did also send one regular snail mail. So they should be receiving one either today or tomorrow at the latest, I would assume. I do know the mail's been kind of off lately. I'm not sure if it's just certain days or what, but I've noticed that a lot of my mail's been what normally takes 1 or 2 days to get a green card back will take me a week to get a green card back. So I'm hoping that by the next meeting, I'll have a more in-depth update.
All right, thank you. I actually took the opportunity to stop by that place. Over the weekend or one day last week. So I just have a couple of questions. First of all, so the Wetlands Protection Act issues on that property, it's just that stream that flows diagonally across the property. Is that correct?
Yes, it's the stream, and then the bank has bordering vegetated. It's a
right.
BVW bordering vegetated wetlands. So
okay.
Correct.
Good. Okay, yeah, I noticed that too. Right. And question, this doesn't really pertain to our jurisdiction, but I noticed that the stream goes under the road and doesn't come out the other side. Do you know where that goes? Does it go into the sewer system?
No, so actually it does come out the other side. It goes under the road and it passes through and under, I believe, I can't remember the exact number, but it goes over to Lisa Drive and it actually discharges behind 19 Lisa Drive.
Oh. Okay, so the stream actually goes under the property that's across the street?
Yeah, it has a very weird, it was obviously done before there's a lot of regulations and rules, right. Unfortunately. So basically it's piped underneath it and it comes out into a wetland and continues on behind 19 Lisa Drive.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Anybody on the commission have any questions or comments about that one? Alrighty. And moving on to the next one, Peninsula on Lakeshore Drive, the bank eroding due to past alteration. Angela, is this any discussion where Michael will have to recuse himself?
That's up to you, Mike. Do you want to recuse yourself and give an update, or would you?
Yeah, let me recuse myself from the meeting for this discussion. And this is Mike Seiki. So we're going to. So originally there's an emergency order in place that had me correct some erosion issues, which have been taken care of. The bank has been reduced. There is no water flow going down. There are wattles in place, staked wattles in place that are preventing anything from eroding and sediment going into the lake. As part of the process, we did discover an abandoned cesspool, and I brought it to the agent's attention about a week and a half ago, saying that I'm uncomfortable going much further with the corrective action because where the cesspool has turned up is right in the a right bank, right on the water. So what I've done is I've contracted with Dillis and Roy to come in and do a complete site survey, get me coordinates, do a topo, find out where that is, and what we'll do is file a notice of intent to clean up that problem. I don't quite know what's under there. I don't think it's a septic tank. I would assume it's a cesspool, an abandoned cesspool, and there has not been a house there for, we know, 25 years. So it is probably not much to clean up, but it's definitely something that needs to be taken care of before I can continue with the corrective action on that bank. So I'm going, and I have not talked to the agent about this, but I'm going to put in a revised corrective action to take away that portion of any work, but continue the work putting down the hay mats to further prevent any erosion control, to further prevent any erosion, and which there isn't, but I'd just rather be safe and sure. And on the bank in front of where that cesspool is, I'll just continue with that and as a subset if we can get that done. And I'll put together another plan that probably will have to be voted on, I imagine. I guess the agent will tell me that, but just to to correct what I can and complete what I can. And then when Dillis and Roy comes back in with their complete topo, then I'll file a notice of intent to remediate that cesspool and hopefully continue with the work. I hope that that makes sense to everyone.
All right, thank you, Michael. Appreciate that. Chuck Raymond, the chair. Quick question for you, Michael. This has come up on occasion, but I don't have it clear in my head. Is this your property, or is there an association that you are?
No, this is Mike Siki. This is my property.
It is,
I
okay.
purchased it just a little while ago. It is, and you're all welcome to come out for a site visit at any point that you want. But it's a peninsula that is dead center in Lake Samoset, up above the spillway and the waterfall. So I'm completely surrounded by water. There were 2 abandoned cabins out there, and so we're trying to clean that up. And it is a property that I own.
Okay. All right. Good. Thank you.
But it is not under the Lake Owners Association jurisdiction. For whatever reason, that whole peninsula in the center of Lake Samoset was excluded from their purview.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Michael. Anybody else on the commission have any questions for Michael while he's here? No? Okay. All right. Angela, is anything, do we need to unrecuse Michael at this point?
Unmute, there we go. Yes, Michael, if you'd like to unrecuse yourself and join the commission again.
And I would like to, this is Michael Siki. I would like to join the meeting again as a commissioner.
And
Thank
Chuck
you.
Raymond would be glad to have you back, Michael. Thank you. All right, Angela, anything on your end about that one?
Nope, Mike's been great communicating with me. I'm really looking forward to see how this all turns out. It's gonna be awesome when it's done.
All right. Thank you. All right, moving on, no emergency certifications. And moving on, I'm getting an echo when I speak. Maybe might be my loud voice, but oh, I guess going away then. Okay. So no emergency certifications under budget. Angela, you got a request for transition of money to pay for an intern?
Correct. So I received a response from the city solicitor, and I will read it. I'll read a shortened version for you.
Okay.
Basically, he stated that the fund is essentially a revolving fund for the deposit of filing fees. And while the funds may be spent without appropriation, it does require approval of the mayor first. And then there was a link from something from the DOR, basically, then through pages 3 through 5, discuss what's allowed and non-allowed. And basically the allowable expenditures would be directly related to the administration and enforcement of the Wetland Protection Act. That being said, however, there's a fairly large degree of flexibility for allowable expenditures. For example, if you appointed an intern or summer admin and they were assigned tasks associated with the commission's area of open space, stormwater, or forest management, this would be a violation. If the position was focused on wetlands administration, and I cannot talk, administrative files or enforcement projects, that would be a valid use. The advisory expressly states that the fund may be used to pay salaries for the latter categories, so I see no reason it cannot fund the cost of such temporary office help. So basically, I would, if the commission would like to go forward with this, I would have to write up basically, what jobs I'd like the intern to do, as well as ask the mayor how he felt about it and get approval from the mayor. And then the money would have to be transferred, approved by the mayor, then transferred and secondarily approved by the city council. And then I could advertise for a paid internship and then have an intern in the office to learn and help me with the files and all the wonderful work that we do. I'm not sounding too excited, am I?
Thank you, Angela. Now you said temporary, so would this be a 6-month thing, a year thing? How long would this be?
So I'd have to look into, honestly, I've never had an intern before. I'd have to look into see, I would assume it'd have to follow a quarter, like a collegiate summer quarter or a high school summer vacation.
Okay.
I was going to work with the city clerk because I know she typically has interns during the summer and during election times to see how she kind of managed that, as well as I believe the planning department had a intern for quite a while as well. So I didn't think it would get this far, to be honest. I didn't think we would get this answer, so I'm very excited.
Well, good. I wish you the best of luck. You certainly need the assistance. Anybody on the commission have any questions for Angela about it?
Yeah, this is Mike Siki. Angela, is that something that we as the commission have to vote on to support you, or is there something that we can do to support this?
Yes, so since the funds, I technically am legally not allowed to touch the funds at all. It's the commission's money from the Wetland Protection Act. So the commission would have to make a motion to transfer a certain amount of money or ask the mayor for approval to transfer a certain amount of money for an internship position in the office. I honestly have to go back and see what the rules and regulations are for payment of interns, as well as figure out how long the internship would be for, so we can figure out the exact monetary amount that would be required, that would be sufficient. So I can have that drafted up for the next meeting, and then if the commissioner would like, we can make a motion, or you guys can say no.
So you don't need a this is Chuck Raymond. You don't need a motion tonight. You will make a motion when you get that additional information on salary and et cetera.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Good. So again, just to confirm, there's nothing we need to do tonight for this, though.
No, thank you so much.
All right. Good. All righty. All right. Well, I think that's it. Next meeting is scheduled for it's right here, November 9th. Deadline was last Friday, it's the 22nd at noon. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
This is Rich Gullick. I'll make that motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Rich. Do we have a second?
This is Liz, I'll second.
Thank you, Liz.
This is Angela Schofield. The rest of the vote will be done by roll call. Michael Siki, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Thank you. Jeffrey Goyne, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Thank you. And Chairman Chuck Raymond, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Thank you. With that, the motion carries to end the City of Leominster Conservation meeting at 6:51 p.m.